This is Game Studies India Adda.
So I would like to welcome our second guest for the podcast series, the First Encounters podcast series, and this is none other than Poornima Seetharaman, who doesn't need any introduction, but uh, f- just a very brief kind of intro to Poornima. She's been part of the games industry since 2006 and has worked with the best names in the Indian games industry, including India Games, Jumpstart, GSN, Square Enix, and she chose game design as a career completely out of her passion for games and translated that passion further by co-founding Pinaka Interactive, a game design studio, and Namalore Entertainment. Poornima believes in using the power of gaming to create a meaningful and impactful change in thinking. She also strives to make the industry more diverse and safe. She's currently part of the Zynga family as their lead game designer, and she's a Women in Games ambassador at WIJG, a speaker and part of the content team from the India Game Developer Conference. She's also visiting faculty, project consultant, and curriculum committee member at the NID. um, Poornima has recently been inducted into the Women in Games Global Hall of Fame 2020, making her the first ever game designer, Indian game designer, to receive such an honor. So this is a huge kind of honor for India and for all of us. And we are extremely kind of grateful and honored that Poornima has agreed to be part of our podcast series. And more power to her designing elbow, and may she kind of create more meaningful and impactful change in thinking with games. So I think we'll just kind of the way we kind of do this, Poornima, is that we start with our first encounters question, and then we kind of move on to other questions that we might have and that you might have for us. And this, it's like, it's let's be keep it informal. So I'll request Poonam to ask to start us off with the podcast with the question and answer session here.
Yeah, hi again, Poornima. This is Poonam. So, yeah, like Shovik said, that one of the first questions that we like to ask our guests on this podcast series is, what was your first brush with video games? I mean, which were the video games that really, impacted you the way they have impacted, and that made you choose this path of game developing and designing and everything?
Firstly, thanks for having me, guys. And I think Age of Empires 2 and Warcraft 3 have to be those games for me. And I think while they may not be the first games I've played, but I think it's when I started playing them is when I felt like games mean so much more. Game design has so much more depth, and how games can actually end up teaching you different things. These things started to come more into realization. Usually, games, even I was looking at it as just a source of entertainment.
Mhm.
But when I started playing these, getting deeper into the system design of it, how well they were balanced, learning about civilizations, the beautiful narrative that was weaved around Warcraft 3. So all of that, I think, subconscious level made me really interested in gaming as a field. Although while I was playing it, it was not very evident that game
Mhm.
development was a career, especially in India. But yeah, these games, I would say, have been one of the first steps I've taken into the whole aspiration of gaming industry.
Wow. How old were you back then?
16. Yeah,
Wow.
started at 16.
Lovely.
This was actually my question as well. So what kind of time frame are we looking at? Like, is it the 1990s? Because you said Age of Empires, so that must be like late 90s, right? Or is it
Yeah, so
later?
it's 20 years ago. It's two
20
Wow.
years
decades
ago.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
some of these games have left such a deep impact
l-
on us, right? They have,
lasting and deep
Yeah,
impact.
yes, they've molded our childhood. They've changed our childhood, to be honest. Um,
So
absolutely.
you've actually been a strategy gamer then. I mean, an RTS gamer in the beginning because
Yes.
all the oh nice.
I
So
started more into RTS and RPG. Now, however, I'm more into the indie and something that doesn't expect too much dexterity and hand-eye coordination from me.
okay, which was about to be my question. As in, we did kind of talk about your first encounters with games, but also I wanted to ask then what game are you playing right now? But also to just to go back to the first encounters. I mean, when we are asking about first encounters, we're also asking about consoles that you played on, or platforms like PC, or what where did you play these games? And what I mean, were these the absolutely very first video games when I mean when you first kind of came across the word or concept video games? Were these the games that you would kind of associate with, you know, with your first kind of hearing of the word or first kind of familiarity with the notion of video games?
I think the familiarity would come from, we had this in India, we had a lot of Game Boy and NES clones. Your
Mm.
10,001 in one cassette that you can play,
yeah.
all of those. And of course, because they're clones, they never used to last longer depending on how much you played. But I think I think Video Game Association for me came from some of these Tetris on the Game Boy clones, and then the
Mhm.
NES clones had your Mario's and your Duck Hunt, which we enjoyed as
Yes.
a family.
Oh,
And I think, yeah, mostly the 10,001 in 10,001 usually used to be just bunch of repeated things. It's just for the sake of it. They used to sell that out as a very nice marketing gimmick, but we all used to still go ahead and buy those cartridges anyway. um, I think those were my early association of what video games were. My primary platform has been PC because, well, I got a PC for my academic needs. Like finally, my parents could, keep aside some fund for it and get a PC for me. And that's when my friends introduced me to, Age of Empires and Zeus and Warcraft. And then, of course, I think at that point, Digit magazines used to give away many of
mhm.
these trial video games that came with these CDs. And then they were our go to because we can't afford to buy games. So the whole trials were where you were experiencing all these game demos and playing them out and trying them out. So my primary platform has been PC. It was much later that I owned a console, like way later. I still feel like I want to go back to PC whenever I can.
Yeah, makes sense.
Fantastic, fantastic point. So I was also just thinking that when I first got the Digit magazine, there was Road Rash, there was Need for Speed, and
Yes,
there was Age of Empires. So you clearly chose Age of Empires over Need for Speed and Road Rash, because these were the shareware games. And I think I remember
yes,
the Digit.
yes.
Was I think it cost something like 50 rupees, which was quite a large sum in those days. And
Yeah, we
my
used to
parents.
like, I think, yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I remember like we used to collect pocket money and like a bunch of us friends, one of us would buy it and then everyone will use the CD and then again we will just, collect all our funds together and buy the other one.
Fantastic. So, I mean, again, as these sets of podcasts are also aimed at kind of creating for the listeners a sense of what it was back then when gaming kind of came in a big way to India or in some way to India, and so one of the things is you mentioned your family, and this is kind of. Uh, this is something that we haven't got from our other kind of speakers. That you mentioned that you're playing Duck Hunt with your family,
Yeah.
and so who were you playing Duck Hunt with? I mean, who was there in your family who was playing? And also, you mentioned that your friends kind of gave you the they shared the digit again. Were they all male friends, or were there women there as well? I'm just also trying to look at the gender kind of
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
component here.
So, starting from the family side of things, so basically all of us used to come together, and my mom was a huge fan of Duck Hunt. I used to play with my sister, mom, and dad. And it's very interesting because later my mom got so hooked into Road Rash as well. Like I once had to uninstall the game and then tell her, oh no, it's some error has happened, it's not working, because she would never. She'd be like, oh, I'll just finish one more race. Oh, I'm already
Wow.
there. I'm just going to finish this. And it's funny because early in the day she used to call me an addict because I was playing games and not really studying and all of that, and then she'll be like, I don't know where you got this addiction from, and I'm like, well, you should look in the mirror. I mean, you are the one playing Road
Yeah.
Rash and not even giving me the system. But yeah, she is one of those gamers who doesn't admit she's a gamer, but I feel like she
Hmm.
has that in her. Now, of course, she's addicted to Candy Crush and all of the Match 3 puzzles, but back then I know how addicted she was with Road Rash, and she used to be really good at it as well. And enjoyed Duck Hunt. I think Mario and Duck Hunt, most of the Nintendo titles generally were like easy to pick up and play.
Right.
And Duck Hunt, of course, we had that gun, so it's just about aiming and shooting at that, and the stupid dog
Yes,
that used to
fascinating.
always
Duck
mock
Hunt.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, it was fun. And like you said, yes, it was male friends who introduced me to the hardcore side of gaming as well. When I started, there weren't many. By the time I got into engineering, when I was designing, Age of Empires campaigns, there was only one other girl who was interested in it. So we used to be
Hmm.
in our computer lab, a bunch of us playing Quake or Age of Empires, and it used to be mostly me and occasionally the other classmate as well. Um, Later, I think there was this whole phenomenon of Ragnarok. Level Up had come in India, and
Yes, that's right.
Ragnarok was one of the MMORPGs that made huge waves. I would consider it for that time, it was pretty much like how PUBG blew up right now. On
Hmm.
that
Mm.
scale, at least for the time at that point, right? Like if I measure them that way. But they went paid too fast and without even considering the target audience had a provision to pay or not. And most of us were college students with barely any pocket money, and we cannot like have credit cards or any of
Hmm.
these things where we can pay money digitally. And even then they went paid. Later they retracted that, but by then they had lost most of the players. But Level Up had a lot of GMs and community managers who were women. When I say lot, I mean marginally more than the other games that we used to play. And I've met a lot of them. We have met for these meetings. Like we had like women special gamer meetup back then, and that was fun. So for a larger audience, I think it was like 10 or 12 people who were women, and that was still good enough for that time. It was almost unheard of to have so many women gamers who were genuinely interested in playing this MMORPG. And yeah, so that was fun. Interestingly enough, many of them are like my colleagues now. Some of them are GMs who were game masters of Ragnarok, and some were community managers for Level Up. So it's interesting that somehow Ragnarok had some connection from a
Hmm.
lot of us who worked in the gaming industry now.
So it's like once you get the gamer bug, you're forever a gamer in some way, or you just stay in that gaming world
Yeah,
forever.
yes, absolutely. Because I think the aspect of gaming, right? Like it's different things for different people. And I've always, many of my talks, I keep saying it's like dreams.
Hmm.
And everyone has the same dream. Some of us might have the same experience, and some of us might have a different experience with the same dream. And
Correct.
games essentially are like that to me. So I can play Age of Empires for a whole different reason versus you. You may like the
Hmm.
strategy of it. I maybe
Hmm.
I like the civilization of it, and our play style changes. The way we pick civilization changes. There's so much more to it. A lot of emergent gameplay comes out of it,
Right.
and then many of us get interested in the game development side, to the streaming side, to the playing style. Like, are we trying to be the best gamer out there, mastering the game? Or are we trying to break it down to understand how they actually designed this game? How did they code it? How did they, do the art for it? How is the, like, there are so many aspects of it. It's just ridiculous how vast it can go and how deep it is. So it's like, you get into this gaming bug. Any aspect of it will stay back with you. Maybe now I don't play as many RTS. Maybe I'm not good at it anymore. But there is some aspect of it that still interests me. Maybe it is the design side of it. Maybe it's the programming side of it. Any of that will always remain.
That is so beautifully put.
Absolutely, it's just such a fantastic kind of metaphor. Games as
Yes.
dreams. I'm just kind of wanting to ask you one question, which I'm like burning to ask, which is, can you tell me about the Age of Empires campaign that you designed? Because it's just kind of, again, so cool that you were starting to design Age of Empires. Was that a new map that you made, or was that a full campaign that you designed with the modding tools, or
Yeah,
what was
so
it?
I started out with the maps. Like basically, I think when I was playing through campaigns of Age of Empires, I quite enjoyed. Obviously, it was telling a lot about the kind of civilizations or the history behind it, and so I started using the tools to create my own story, create my own campaign, taking them through that. I felt like I could use it to. I kind of wanted to marry the narrative with the mechanics, so
So
I was taking
you
them through that.
you've always been a storyteller then as well, in not just a game designer. It always combines the storyteller somewhere in
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
because
definitely. Yes. I think I love stories, and I kind of feel like stories, music, emotions, games, no, or they all can like transcend you into something else altogether. And I believe in that. So which is also why I like lean a lot into fantasy as well, because it's, I guess, the whole coming back to the whole dream vibe where I can control the dream. It's all anything that I create. It can be fantasy, it can be real, and it can mold into whatever I want. So I think that aspect. I'm not a great narrative designer in terms of writing skills. I think there are a lot of people who are better than me, but I feel like in terms of imagination, I love the narrative and storytelling aspect of it.
I mean, incidentally, I also designed an Age of Empires campaign based on 1757 and the Lord Clive and Sirajuddaula. So I had to ask you that
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
question. Yeah, a long time ago.
That's
In the Age
awesome.
of Empires 2. It was Age of Empires 2. I
Yes.
remember Age of Kings, which had the
Yes.
map and the,
Yes.
yeah. And
It's
you
still
could
the
also
best one.
script the AI. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes.
I'm so glad you say this. So I'll let Poonam kind of take over now for the other questions, and then we'll kind of come back again to. So Poonam, did you have other things that you had
Yeah,
wanted to
I
ask?
wanted to talk about Poornima's induction into women in games in Global Hall of Fame. Uh,
Yes.
how did it
Well,
come
I
about?
think
How has the whole experience been like?
I genuinely don't know whether it has sunk in yet. I know at this point it should be, because I have spoken about it, and it's been 3 months since it has happened. But maybe it could be because it's the whole virtual, the whole setup being virtual. But I feel it's still a little unbelievable to have that come through, especially because I am usually not very comfortable putting myself out there or marketing myself. And I remember at least a decade ago, even I was talking to Ernest Adams for something, and he was also saying, it's okay to market yourself. No one's gonna know you exist. You are in one corner of the world, and you need to put yourself out there, tell the world what you're doing, so that they kind of take interest in what is it, and if it aligns with them, they will speak to you. And I was always still hesitant to do that. I mean, introverted in nature, so it's harder to do that. However, I keep putting myself on the spot. I sign up for a lot of workshops and speaking opportunities to kind of overcome that whole introverted aspect. And I encourage people to do that. So I this time around for the award, this was the first time they made it global, and it was open, and I kind of decided, okay, maybe it's time. It's been 15 years in this industry, and maybe it's time to tell people what I do. Like I kind of keep doing it behind the scenes. I continue to mentor people and help people get into the industry, guide them, and I said, okay, maybe it's time I'll let people know I do that. Not. So I think putting yourself out there helps in two ways. One, it is of course like a huge validation and recognition for the efforts that you are doing. The other aspect is that someone who wants to reach out can now know they can reach out to a few people like us. And if I don't put myself out there, they are losing out on one person. And if I am putting myself out there and I am okay, like I keep saying, like sometimes in my talks and all, I fumble, I make mistakes. And initially I used to be like really conscious about it. Not saying I don't do that now, but now I'm like, it's okay. And because I feel if I fumble and I screw up in my talks, that somehow boosts someone else's confidence, saying that, oh, it's apparently okay to do that, right? And they will be more than happy to next time try, because we all want to be our best selves, especially when we are like put on a platform. But that's another thing. It's okay to have that normal conversation. We are all humans. Not all of us are born as great orators or speakers, but if we don't practice, if we don't put ourselves out there, then how will we improve? So I kind of tend to do that, and I decided to put my name in the running for the Global Hall of Fame Awards, and that's it. Essentially, that's it. So for me, I did that, and for me, it was like done. Okay, I put myself out there. I was not expecting anything coming out of it. I saw the nominations, and I was like, I was nominated among 12 of these amazing people, and I'm like, this is good enough. This is a dream come true. With the kind of team I was put in, the kind of women, things they are doing, it's just brilliant. And then the awards night happened, and I really couldn't. I mean, everyone's like, I know my mom, everyone called, and everyone's like congratulating and happy tears, and I'm like, did this just happen? Like, what is this? It's not sinking in at all, and it's brilliant. I'm glad this came through. I'm happy about it. It feels really, really validated and recognized. So that's amazing, because especially for India, the kind of, our gaming industry when we started, and even now, it's still in a very developing phase. It's just about now that it's picking up some pace, and, we're getting more recognition on a global level. So those who started out early, don't have that recognition and validation, unfortunately. And they were key in setting up the industry today. I mean, today the industry exists because people like 2 decades or 3 decades ago decided to set up this industry. Otherwise, it wouldn't. So it feels nice to be recognized for that aspect. Like if I was abroad, I probably would have worked on much better titles, much different platforms. And within 15 years, you're already like way ahead in your career if you're working not in India. And that's the truth. We have to accept that. But India gives you a certain platform, and you're working for mobile industries, Prime here. You're rooting for that, but you are still crucial to set it up. And maybe it's someone else who reaps the benefits of what you set up. It's pretty much like growing a tree. You're planting it, you're sowing the seeds, but someone else is going to grab the fruits. But you still do it because someone else did it for me. Like I am able to work today as a woman because someone else took that step with no other hesitation, even if they didn't get to work. So it's just a very paying it forward.
Absolutely. You put it so nicely. My God. I feel so proud being a woman. Yay, female empowerment.
Yeah, and there's a big yay to Poornima for kind of like being. I mean, this is like an India kind of landmark, really, with the Women in Games kind of the panel, really, with people, as she said, like Anita Sarkisian, Elizabeth Laponsi, and Brenda Romero, and many others. And it also, I think, shows that I mean, maybe if we do a lot of fantastic work in India like Poornima does, and it doesn't just get out there, and it just needs to get out there more, really.
Yeah.
With so the one thing I wanted to ask you, Poornima, is that how has it been to be a woman game developer in India? Because we have heard of all of these issues of Gamergate and other things in other geographies. How has it been in
Yeah.
India to be a woman game developer? Uh, I think well, we don't get too many woman game developers to to be talking to us, and it's very important that we hear some of these stories, really.
Yeah. So it has been a lot of ups and downs, I would say. Honestly, I've not faced any extreme sexism, but there has been, this casual sexism that exists within the industry. And the other aspect is, getting ahead in your career becomes a problematic phase where, promoting a woman, getting equal pay, all of that as a struggle. So I used to always raise my voice against that kind of things. I used to demand it. And for me, my work used to prove that. The status part, however, I mean, it kind of still is that, as a woman, you tend to do at least double the things that an average man does just to be equal. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
shouldn't be that way.
No,
And
it shouldn't.
a lot of us, like, yeah, I was talking to my manager and he was saying the same thing. He's like, no, you shouldn't have to. I said, yeah, but we need to change that mindset across the board, not just by just one or two people. The leadership needs to change, and leadership not only should have just allies, it should actually have representatives, right? Like, I can empathize with other marginalized genders, but I cannot truly understand their problems, right? Because I am not that. As a woman, I understand a woman's problems, but I can only be an ally to other genders. Same way, a man can be an ally for me, but truly understanding my problems may not be at the 100% capacity. So we need more women and marginalized gender leaders who are there in upper management, and we need more like coming up. Like, you cannot, I know a lot of women have also tried to rush to the top without helping others. Now the problem is, once you get there, what, you're going to be alone. There's going to be no other woman following you. So
Fantastic.
it needs to be group. You need to help others, and by helping others, there is a good chance you may not be able to get ahead, but that's fine. And like, some of us will take that hit, and some of us won't. That's perfectly okay. Because I feel, if I'm going to be at the top and I'm going to be lonely, then what's the point? I need more people coming through. I need someone who's next in line, and I don't want to be. I know a lot of people are also insecure about, what if your teammates are better than you? Well, they should be. It's evolution. They're always going to be better than you, and that's the whole thing. If they succeed, you succeed, and we don't tend to realize that, right? We are always looking at people. Oh, she knows better, he knows better. Yeah, it's great. I want people who are smarter than me in my team. I don't want people who are dumber than me, where I'm spending all my time trying to fix their problems. I want people who are independent, or I'm going to try and make them independent, right? Like, if they need that mentorship, I'm here to make sure they are better than me. And that's what a mentor, a teacher, a leader should do. Not say that you should be somewhere below me. They should always aim for, you should be better than me. I'm going to try and make sure you're better. And I think for me, what I've tried to do is ignore the kind of noise that comes with sexism. I have been fortunate enough to have some amazing colleagues, men and women, especially men actually, and they have helped me throughout. They have helped me with, understanding how I can improve, giving me the valid recognition where it deserves, helping me and seeing me as an equal. So I felt like, when I started off at a great place. My team at India Games was brilliant. We were all working as equals. So even if I could face that occasional sexism, it didn't matter to me because I had the other support system. So I used to constantly ignore the noise and just focus on the good side of things, and just constantly learning and proving my results. Like, every time someone says you're not good enough, I have results to prove them wrong. And so results always matter to me. And so I go like full on saying that, okay, if I have data, you cannot dispute and refute data. So I just go ahead and just prove my capability. And now I'm at a place where I can make the place much more safer and not necessarily as competitive, unwanted competition that exists. So the idea is to have more women leaders come through, and women shouldn't have to say they have to do 2x or 3x to meet the bare minimum requirements for a promotion or a pay upgrade, right? That shouldn't happen. We need to eliminate that. I recently remember when I got the award as well, and someone said, "Oh, this is why this women in games. I'm sure men in games cannot get it because women in games is a smaller thing, and that's why she got it."
Oh,
Well,
wow.
true, it is true, but then. Um, what about all the promotions and designations that all these men are taking, even though there are pretty much a
Yeah.
lot of women out
Yeah.
there who are valid? So you win some, you lose some. So pick your battle. I mean, I would rather say like, oh, give me all the designation and the money too. I'm pretty sure I'm capable of winning the award with a women designation or without any gender. So yeah, let's see, like, how about you enable me for that? So like, we need equity, right? Like, there's no way we can say, oh, we are all equal. Yes, we are all equal, but we need equity. You have had like years of advantage ahead of us. So you have to help us catch up, and then we will see. Then we will meet, and then let the best person win.
That is so fantastically put,
Yeah.
Poornima. So I am absolutely, and this is something that hopefully will encourage more women in India um, to go into game development and also to
Yep.
play games.
Absolutely.
To so
I'm actually setting up a women in games community soon. More so like women and marginalized gender community. So I'm
Oh,
just going to
wow.
work on that, and hopefully in Jan I'll have it set up.
Oh, wow.
fantastic.
So
I
it's like
wanted to
within a
ask you
month
something.
then.
Sorry, Poonam.
No, no, I was just saying, wow,
Second.
it's like right. I mean, just next month then. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
I'm using my winter break to prepare for it because I've been quite busy. So the small break I'll get, I'm going to work on it and make sure that at least the community is set through before I set up the organization. At least get
Right,
started with the community.
right. Wonderful.
Fantastic. So I had one related question, which is, you mentioned, or in your introduction, we mentioned that you're committed towards kind of diversity and inclusiveness, inclusivity in kind of games, promoting these. So, I mean, are you thinking of, designing something, differently, designing a different kind of game that would kind of, uh, that would be you know I do know about your interest in music and the project you have in your in the wings, waiting in the wings. I'm not sure if you finished it already, but
No, I
I'm just
haven't.
thinking of, yeah, so maybe you can tell us about that, and also about kind of, because we have so many games like Age of Empires and these kinds of, and even yesterday I was speaking about how they're so colonial and so,
Yeah.
again, patriarchal. What about games that kind of, speak against this grain? For example, I mean, for me, Make Giants 80 Days is one such game, but I'm just thinking of, what about some of these things? Do you have anything planned like this at all? Anything that you've thought about?
Yes, I have actually. I have like a bunch of things that I have tried to plan for, and like you mentioned, so Madhuram is the game that I am
Yes.
focusing on. That's my dream project. So it kind of, I think 6 years ago is when that idea kind of gave birth in my head, when my aunt, late aunt, she passed away, and she's a Carnatic music guru she's been the guru for Shankar Mahadev in Bombay, Jayashree and all. And she dedicated her entire life to just teaching music. I mean, she had like she was at a fork, and she's like, you have to teach music or you can pursue your concert career. And she decided there are a lot of the people who need to, need guidance. And she decided she's going to spend her life teaching music and bring out more musicians rather than just go for the route of fame. And she did that. And I remember, when we used to attend her music lessons sometimes in Chembur, and I used to just transcend into some other world. Um, I feel like music is without any barriers, like language, none of that exists, right? Like music in any form depending on your mood. In fact, music can change your mood. You can enhance your mood when you're sad and you listen to sad music. You're sadder, and sometimes its whole sadness will actually help you get over your sadness. It's different to different people again, and I feel like games with their interactivity in all aspects. Whenever we play games, we're talking about us. Hey, I died. I couldn't make that jump. Oh, I missed this. It's always us. Like we feel ourselves, or we are emotionally involved in someone's story, and I feel like I could marry the whole aspect of music, especially Carnatic music, which is not a very known form. So making it a fusion, because pure Carnatic music will not have that kind of appeal, especially for people who don't understand what it is. So I wanted to marry Carnatic music with games and take the player through journey of Navarasa, which is 9 emotions, making them fall in love with music. But that can also be interpreted metaphorically in different ways to different people. And I have always enjoyed feeling that emotions, even in Ori and the Blind Forest or Gris or Journey. I mean, these
Yes,
kind of
yes.
games is just brilliant. Like I remember while playing Journey at one phase, it was brilliant moment to just see my character just enjoy the game. And I don't think I've felt that in a long way. That gratification of nothingness and the beauty of it, it just amazed me. And it's even there is recently the developers of Celeste, which is dealing with anxiety, depression, and all of that. They mentioned that the character is actually a transgender. It's brilliant. And in Last of Us, we have a lesbian relationship, which is so casual and it's normalized. And I love that fact. I feel like the more we normalize and not necessarily call it out, it might get better. I mean, there are different ways of approaching it. One is in your face, and you're creating a game that actually, promotes an ideal. And then there are games where they just make it very normal. And even Haven, which is something that Audrey Lipton is working on, is again about a lesbian relationship. And it doesn't need to be called out as that. It is essentially just two characters in a relationship, just like anything else. And Gris is about overcome, 5 stages of grief. I remember Last Day of June. All of these games. There's Papers, Please. There are just way too many, right? Like you can get it lost in the even Detroit Become Human. Just the choices that you have to make makes you think. And I feel like games have that capacity to make you think, make you feel, and not necessarily talk about what is right or wrong, but it's more about perception. I mean, it's a game. You can do anything you want. It's essentially Westworld, an interactive Westworld. So you can be a good person or a bad person or a neutral person. You can be any of that. It's up to you. And the whole idea is like, an action of yours has some consequences, and the game can tell you what consequence it is, or it can just take you through a story of someone and you start relating to it. I feel like these things can come through in games so much. So we don't need to, and it's going back to this MDA framework we talk about in game design, which is the mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics. And there are 8 types of aesthetics. So whoever likes it can read it up. But aesthetics is all about that. It's saying that it can be just a source of entertainment or fun, but there are so many ways of perceiving it. It can appease to any of your senses. It can be the story, it can be the fantasy, any aspect of it. And gaming is such a beautiful medium for that. You can play anything from a hyper casual to your Candy Crush to your Clash of Clans to your Age of Empires to your Journey, or Her Story. It's brilliant. I mean, why restrict it to just one thing? It's pick anything you want to do and create it.
Again, what a fantastic kind of answer. So we are hoping to see a build of Madhuram soon, are we? And maybe we'll see and listen to as well, because it's going to be a musical game as well, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yep.
said there's going to be so much this meld of music. So
Yep.
I mean, it's going. I mean, I've read your interviews, and I've always wondered that it's going to be so difficult to do, because it's such a well, I don't think it's been done before, really, but I may be
Yeah.
wrong. I don't think this kind of a thing has been done before, really. But then, when do you think we are going to see a build of Madhuram? Uh,
Oh my God, I don't know. Far, far into the future. Like, obviously, I can't work on it now, but whatever we have done and then taking from there. Obviously, this is such a out like a very different experimental game. There's a very, very high chances of it going wrong than it going right. So there's so much work that I've cut out for myself, but I'll do it maybe 3 years, 5 years,
But
realistically speaking.
there is a request from our little group. Hopefully, it won't be that little soon. But that once you have a build, that we be allowed to play it. That we be some of
Yes.
the first people to play it.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
thanks. So, Poonam, do you have any more questions for Poornima? And then we can.
No, I don't have any more questions. Poornima has, has explained everything so beautifully, so well. And
Oh my
you know
God!
what,
It
Poornima,
was.
I'm going to remember the dream metaphor so much. Every time I play a game, I'll remember this.
I think I'm going to quote you on this because
Yes, it's
this
so
is
beautifully put.
it's a podcast, so I can quote it in academic papers. I think this
Oh,
dream
Yes.
metaphor is really.
oh, interesting.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I mean, I think we've covered all of these questions that we had for Purnima, and I think, of course, moving on from the first encounters, two questions about kind of women in games and women in games, Indian gaming, also the early days of Indian gaming, which is also very interesting, and then also how new different kinds of games can be made, and also finally the very musical Madhuram.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to thank Purnima at this stage. And it's like we're so grateful that you could make it to kind of to our podcast series. And I don't know. Do you have any message for us? I mean, we are, of course, there's very little games research happening in India in a coordinated manner. We are just trying to get there. So, any message for gamers, game designers, game researchers that you would like to leave for our listeners?
For those who are aspiring to come into the industry, I would say it's hard. It's a lot of hard work. It's not as easy as it sounds. I know everyone aspires to make a GTA or a PUBG or an Age of Empires or a God of War, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start
Mm.
small, and so you have to fail fast, and that's how you succeed. And it's okay to fail. Understand that it's perfectly okay to be emotional, to be attached to something, to be personally invested. Just don't give up and really understand what it takes to be a game developer or a streamer or a professional player, any of the aspect or researcher, and go deep into it, understand it. It's such a beautiful medium. I can't I can't stop saying that. I can't emphasize enough because I feel like you can learn every day. And those who say I know everything about games are lying. There is no way
Yeah.
you could potentially know. It's so vast and it changes. If you go back to history, think about how we have evolved and how we are now, and just expecting the kind of things we have in the future. It's just amazing. But it just always connects back to the foundation, to the very basics of it.
Mm.
It's about why do you play, what is the aspect that attracts you, and how do you mold it into something, what do you feel when you play. I think these questions, when we start asking, it's great. And one thing I also say is that we need to. I'm glad we are doing this kind of podcast and you guys are doing this research and putting this out there, because we need to normalize gaming.
Mm.
When especially with parents and all of that, and we need to normalize even it for the people who are getting addicted in the wrong way. Games are here to stay, and everything has to be consumed in limits. So pace yourself. It's pretty much like how we have alcohol or cigarettes or anything. Even a good thing, if it consumes, like if you consume it too much, it's going to be bad. So pace yourself and keep up the good work. Hard work is key, and just focus on your results. Just don't give up. It's perfectly okay to fail. Yeah, these are some of the messages.
So once again, thanks a lot, Poornima, and well, I think again from my behalf and Poonam's and also everybody else in Game Studies India, Adda, who are going to listen to this, and all our listeners. So well, all the very best, and we hope to have you back again soon, and perhaps with a build of Madhuram as well. Uh, so thanks again.
Thanks, Avik. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks
Poonam.
so
It
much,
was really
Poornima.
great. It
Yeah,
was amazing to be
it was
part
a
of
lovely
this.
talk. It was a great talk.
It was such a
I
lovely,
I
lovely
enjoyed it
talk.
so
Oh my
much.
God.
Yeah.
It was, I think, one of
Thank
our
you.
best, really. It was just,
Yes.
it's left me so fresh, really, thinking different ways and quite chilled out. You're actually a
Thank
poet in a
you.
game designer, do you know?
Right? Even I
That's a
had that
It's a
great
very
feeling.
poetic
compliment.
game designer.
Yeah. Even I
Nice.
got
No
that
one has said
feeling.
that before.
Well, I am from a literature department, so I always think about poetry, and when I see it's such an interesting metaphor, really, to talk about games. I mean, I've never come
Hmm.
across that before.
Thanks. I do write poetry, though.
Oh.
Ah, there we go. So there we go. We should read some of this then. We should read some of your poetry
Sure.
if you're willing to share.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you, guys. It was really amazing, and I love what you guys are doing. It's casual, it's fun, and it's just going deeper into everything. So,
Well,
wish you all the best for the podcast.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Poornima.
Okay, thanks again. Okay,
Thank
bye
you.
everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.